All right, we're back. NASCAR Cup Series, Darlington, the lady in black, the track that's too tough to tame. It's me, it's Coop. We're here to make the money. What's going on, Coop?
I think the track that is too tough to tame refers to the drivers and not myself and you.
Listen, bro, they can only hope to contain us. Don't you understand that? They can't beat us. So it's been a good weekend so far. You and I hit the truck race on Friday night around 4-1. It was chalky, though. It was Nemechek, obviously. Last night, between the sheet and the live show winners, it was about 12 units. And then that doesn't even count the price that you got on Allgaier yesterday at 7-1, which was a great call there. So, I mean, it's no complaints so far. It's been a great weekend. We're going to try to cap it off 3 in a row. Last week we were one position away from getting the whole bag. If we got all 3 Hendrick cars in the top 5, it would have been a 25-unit Sunday probably between Coop and I. But unfortunately it didn't. We did get the winner home with Elliott, but man, it didn't feel good, bro. I always feel like I'm in control of the outcome. That's why we do so well. I did not feel that way last week, Coop. Overall thoughts last week. Obviously, the number one thing is Gibbs came out of nowhere, showed a lot of speed. Denny had the nuts. Unfortunately, he couldn't get it done. But yeah, overall thoughts last week.
I think you pretty well summed it up. I mean, that's it right there, man. Hendrick underperformed, even though they got a first, fifth, and sixth. Gibbs came out of nowhere to put down some great laps and great runs, but they had some bad luck, during the race that inhibited them from finishing well. The cars were much better than the results. So, we've seen this before from them. So do they have another great week, or do they, slip up and suffer like they have in the past, earlier this year after having a good week is the big question. So, that's what we have to deal with and play with.
So did you put the playbook up yet?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to pull that up. So this week the big question for me is how do we treat Joe Gibbs? That was my early impression, because I already know the drivers that I tend. First of all, Coop, is this the track last year where we lost the Larson bet on the last turn of the last lap?
Yeah, I believe so.
This was it, right? Okay.
I believe so.
So immediately at Darlington, the two things that you think about are who is best at managing their tires and who rides the wall. And the two best, I mean, Kyle Larson, nobody rides the wall better than Kyle Larson. That's 100%. And I think Tyler Reddick, I think he's probably a clear-cut second. And then I think it's a pretty big drop-off from the rest of the pack in terms of like cars that ride the wall. And who manages tires, right? So I would assume now unfortunately there is no track to compare Darlington to, right? They reconfigured Atlanta, so you're out of luck there. So it's kind of like a track by itself, right? But you would assume that Gibbs is probably going to bring their cars from Dover over to this track. You would think, right? And are they going to carry the speed in practice? They looked good. They looked very good, I thought. So I watched it last night. It's actually on now too. But like, so for me, first is how do you treat Joe Gibbs? I think I'm a wait and see. Like, if we have to get on them live, well, like that's what you do. Although I will say, Coop, I think that Gibbs is the best hedge that you can make in the race. You can take Toyota at plus 220. You have the big three at Gibbs just as a backup bet in case you get beat by them. and then you start, throwing your darts at the drivers that you really like. And if the drivers that you end up liking are Gibbs, it's just a bonus that you have Toyota at plus 220. So I think Toyota wins is the best hedge spot in terms of that. But how are you treating Gibbs? For me, it's a wait and see.
So back up a little bit. I think there's a third piece, that's important to this race. And
What?
we saw it yesterday, and that's pit stops.
Oh, because
there's going to be a large amount of pit stops because these cars are going to be coming for tires whenever they can. And Justin Allgaier he had a good car yesterday, but his pit team won him that damn race.
They got him out every stop.
He came down 3 times, and they kicked ass 3 times.
Yep.
So put it forward to today. All right. Basically, it's going to be twice as long. So you're going to think 6, 7, 8 pit stops. Could have Allgaier's team done that every single time yesterday? That's a tough cookie to ask for right there, man.
If you're rating like the top 3 pit crews right now in the Cup Series that you feel good about, how would you rate them?
I mean, you got to put Ross Chastain in there. His pit crew's been incredible.
Well, yeah, he's been the best driver combo car driver pound for pound this year by a fucking mile.
Yeah, I think Harvick is there, and then I think of the 3 Gibbs cars, I think Kyle Busch has an advantage when it comes to pit stops over Truex and Hamill.
Okay, now talk to me about Gibbs. Are you a wait and see on Gibbs?
Kinda, maybe. I don't know. Haven't really finished thinking through it. Let me ask you this question. Of the big 3 Gibbs drivers, which one do you think disappoints?
I think that's a tough question to answer because if you're
asking, gun to your head, who is it?
If you're asking me what Gibbs car has performed the best this year, it's Kyle Busch, right?
Right.
But if you're asking me the 2 best cars at this track specifically, and in terms of tire wear, it's Denny and Marty, definitely. So I mean that's a tough. I'm gonna say Denny and Kyle Truex would disappoint.
I agree with you there. I totally agree. That was my thought process. That Truex, I feel, is the most likely of the 3 to falter.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Denny has shown some really good top line speed this year. He's had a lot of issues, And the thing with Denny is, hey, maybe he got the issues done prior to the race this week. Because he had some issues with his diffuser hanging off and, causing him some issues and, qualifying and some concerns that it was the engine, but it wasn't the engine. So maybe he got rid of those issues early. So, but, of the 3 Gibbs cars, do any one of them have a chance against Kyle Larson?
I see. Now that's the rub, right? So let's put Gibbs aside for a minute, right? There are the main 3 drivers for me are obviously, we know Kyle Larson. There's just nobody better at this type of track, right? And I do think that they're gonna put him in equipment. Although his equipment was disappointing last weekend, and he qualified don't forget, he qualified very good last weekend and shit the bed in that race. Now, granted, he has a little bit of an excuse because he tapped the wall a little bit at one point, and he ends up finished 6th, but he never had the car to compete with anybody for a win in last weekend. Now, he looked very good again, I thought, in practice and qualifying. But that does not guarantee that the one thing that is going on this year that did not happen last year is parity is back in NASCAR. Because of this car, there are so many other cars that have a chance to win the race now. I think Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain are probably my two favorite picks to win this race. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think that Gibbs is a real concern based off what we saw last weekend. And we know how good Kyle Larson is. And even you can't forget Will Byron at this track either. But my gut says Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain are the cars that you're going to want to get on. And obviously, I guess Kyle Larson, yeah. But I'm a wait and see on Kyle Larson after last week, Coop, because he looked good. He looked good in practice and qualifying last week too.
Yeah, but how long are you going to wait? 10 laps, 20 laps, 30 laps?
I don't know. I mean, I have to. I don't
because
know.
There's a very, very good chance, all right, that if you don't bet Kyle Larson very quickly, you're going to be sitting around twiddling your thumbs hoping that something happens to him, because he's going to be plus 250 by the end of stage one if he wins it.
Like, him to be in the top 5 at minus 140 is just, that's like an auto bet. Top 5 at this track. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know. What is he, 5-1 right now? Is the best number you say?
Yeah, and that's going to be the best number you get on him.
So are you of the position that, like, first of all, what do you think about Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain? Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think myself personally that this race, the car isn't going to be as equal
to the driver,
to the field as what it is for the other races, because of the style of racing that has to happen here. All right. And that means you have to understand how to manage your tires. All right. And I think we could put any type of car on this track. All right. And you could put Kyle Larson in it. You can put Denny Hamlin in it. You can put Harvick in it. You can put Truex in it. Kyle Busch.
They're going to make their way to the front.
Chastain, Reddick, Briscoe. They're going to be there. All right. Because they understand how to do it. All right. Whereas, let's say on a smoother, track, okay, they have a much, much better chance because the car is going to be much more of a factor. So I think, you've really got to lay down with the drivers who understand how to manage their tires this week. And, I think the car is not going to be as equal as what it has the prior races this year.
I totally agree with that, and I do think that you have to have a knack for driving close to the wall also. But yeah, like, if you can manage your tires, even if a car is better than you, you are eventually gonna get closer to them as their tires fall off. You know what I mean?
You do and you don't. Like, look at Allgaier yesterday. He did not hit that wall, come close to it very often. He was running that middle line basically.
Yeah, but I mean, can you really envision a Cup race where the car that's not winning the race is flying around the bowl? I mean, come on. I mean, when's the last time we saw that?
It depends who it is, man. I mean, it's out there. The chances of it happening, I agree with you, are less likely, but it can happen.
So let me ask you this, and this has been the struggle for me this week in terms of I don't know what to think about these cars. Joey Logano put down a fast lap, right? But is Penske on your radar this week? I haven't thought about it much at all.
No, they're not.
Yeah, okay.
Because I don't think of Joey Logano as a long-run tire wear management type of driver. I think of him as speed. And, look, I think he can hang out. He might be able to get a top 5, but I think a lot of things are going to have to happen in order for him to win this race. And, I think, again, like, look past qualifying yesterday, because, I mean, those guys came in, they put the car into the right trim, and they put down some, monster laps. Like, Joey Logano can go out and put down that monster lap, man. It's not about that today. It's about, being consistent over,
Right.
20, 30, 40, 50 laps.
Right. I mean, 15 laps into the run, these cars are 10 miles an hour slower around the track already. So,
And then my other big concern too is 15 laps into this run, we saw 2 tires explode or have issues yesterday.
True.
In the practice.
So from the feel that I get from you is almost like you feel like if you're going to bet Larson, you have to bet him pre-race because you're going to even if we like guys like Reddick and Chastain at 16-1 and 14-1, we're going to have time to get prices on them as opposed to Kyle Larson. That's your argument,
right? And then my other piece too is like I think Denny is not priced properly either.
I agree based on last week because
you can get him at 9.5, 10 right now.
Yeah, you can get him at DK at 10 right now.
Right. And like I don't want that number to go down because I don't know. I mean, if you look at it, you were talking about comparable tracks. Yeah, we don't really have one, but I mean, you can kind of use Dover. Kind of, because it has the banking, it has the speed, it has somewhat of tire wear, but not what we're going to see today. And I give Hamlin obviously was a rocket ship.
He had,
I think Larson wasn't far behind him. To be honest with you, I think I give Larson more credit than what you are.
I think that he had. His car that last week was as dominant a car that has been on a track this year. I mean, that car was ghost. So, I mean, if he's anything close to what he was, 10-1 is a joke. Like, we'll be talking about after the race and be like, fucking Dover. Yeah. So,
but then, like, the thing, too, that you got to think about is, like, if Larson jumps out to that lead, how long is it going to stay 10-1 for Denny? Where does he starting all the way in the back? Things can happen. I mean, is it going to stay 10-1 for half the first stage?
Yeah, I think. What is his position exactly where he's starting?
Well, he's starting 22nd from a scoring perspective, but he's starting, at the back because they had to change, the diffuser.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we'll probably have some time. He's going to pass Bums for sure, pretty quickly.
Right, but do you think there's any chance that 9.5, 10 goes to 11 or 12, barring he doesn't have any issues?
No.
Like, do you think that Kyle Larson can be that dominant at the beginning of the race to drive his number up?
I don't think so because I think Denny's going to probably, at worst case, be in a position where he is flying towards the front, and they're not going to be able to make his number higher as he goes from 40th to 15th and 50 laps.
From the other perspective, if he does fly to the front, does that 10 go down to 8 very quickly?
It could. Based on books are going to be scared of him this week. Based on last week, they're thinking what we're thinking. If they're bringing that car from Dover over and it's a kind of a comparable track, he might be the nuts again. So I think that they're going to be quick on the trigger today with Denny Hamlin.
So like we've covered a lot of Gibbs and Hendrick. Is there anybody else out there for the win that you think? I mean, you mentioned Reddick. I know you mentioned Chastain. But
yeah.
Do you have any interest in, like, let's say a Jones, a Briscoe?
I just said it. Eric Jones, 60-1. Yeah. He is phenomenal at this track.
Right.
He is.
But I mean, that's a wait and see. Obviously.
That's a wait and see. Yeah. But those, I would say, you just literally named the guys that you and I would put on the radar. Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones. I don't know what to expect from Chris Buescher, Keselowski, drivers like that. I don't really know. What do you think about What do you think about Eric Almirola, Stuart Haas, Almirola, and Harvick today?
Amarola, I don't really consider a long run tire management of the type of driver. So he's kind of off my radar. Chase Briscoe, on the other hand, is high on my radar. He's done well here. He does well, managing his tires.
And he's got speed every week.
He's got some pretty good speed every week. And then Harvick, Harvick's starting in the back. The guy's got like 10, 12, 13 freaking top 10s in a row here or something.
Yeah,
he's going to get there, barring any issues. The thing with Harvick,
he's got, I think
he probably has a top 5 car. I don't know if he has a winning car.
I think I saw a stat where he's been in the top 5, 8 out of the last 10 races here. Something crazy like that.
Something crazy.
Yeah. All right. So that's where we're at win-wise, right? Now let's talk about the other markets in the next 25 minutes before the baseball show. All right. Top 5s. To be honest with you, Kyle Larson, like anything close to minus 130, I don't see how he's not in the top 5 today. I don't mind it. I think Denny Hamlin plus 150 to be in the top 5 today is very fair based on what we saw last week. And then the cars that we like Ross Chastain plus 150. He's got top 5 upside. Tyler Reddick's got top 5 upside at 2 to 1. Probably Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, like all these cars that you and I like that have like any top 5s that stick out to you?
I think it comes down to a matter of what price do you want to pay, because like I really don't want to play like 155 for a Chastain or close to even for Larson, Busch, Truex, stuff like that, or minus numbers. So even Reddick at plus 210.
That's not bad. He's gonna.
I don't mind it. Jones and Briscoe at plus 400. I think I would be more willing to take shots on them. I think I have a better Briscoe bet. We'll talk about later.
All right. So top 10s again. I was looking last night. I mean, Chase Briscoe at even money to hit the top 10. I think is not bad at all. Jones plus 140. Tyler Reddick, I'm not paying 155. Just that juice is crazy. But yeah, I mean, same cars that I think like Chase Briscoe to hit the top 10 and
I think we've talked about top 10 all year and how they've taken the juice out of it and everything. But your favorite book has actually got some decent numbers compared to what we've seen all year at top 10s. But again, like they have Briscoe I think at plus 115, Eric Jones at plus 155. I just don't know if that number is good enough for what I want.
Fair. Did you look at the weekly special section? Anything on DK this week that
like they're a joke. Oh, sorry, not that. I'm sorry. I thought you were going somewhere else. That's a joke.
What's a joke?
Yeah, the featured matchups that they have this year.
Oh yeah,
they're fucking horrible. I mean, like they pick drivers to go up against each other, and it's like they always end up like minus 150 to plus 110. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, the weekly specials on DK. There was one that I said, maybe, possibly.
Chastain ready to get the top 5 at 7.5 to 1.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah, no, I already know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the one.
That's the only one I looked at too.
Yeah. So I will ignore the weekly specials. I don't know.
What do you think about?
There's so much variance here, because of how close they got to run to the wall.
Yeah.
Which could, hurt you. And then again, I'm really worried about these tires today.
What do you think about Toyota plus 220 as a backup, having those three cars in your back pocket?
I mean, I don't mind it, but I mean, Kyle Larson can shut him out.
True, but we'll probably be on him too. But at least you know you have protection if you get beat by a Gibbs car.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
so
it's not bad.
The featured matchups suck. But what about the other matchups? Did you see anything?
Yeah. Again, I don't like these because, I mean, great example. I thought I had some good numbers yesterday on Sheldon Creed, who had a win, and then a dominant performance, in his prior race at, Darlington, and he goes out and freaking blows the clutch on lap number one. So that was done and over with. But let's see here. There were a couple that I didn't mind whatsoever. I don't mind Eric Jones at minus 105 against Chris Buescher at minus 115 taking Jones. I don't mind Chase Briscoe at plus 100 over Chris Bell at minus 125. I don't mind Ross Chastain at plus 100 over Joey Logano at minus 120. And I don't mind Denny Hamlin minus 110 over Chase Elliott. I'm not going to bet any of them, but those would be my ones.
We didn't bring up the other two cars. There is something from Hendrick. There is something to be said that Alex Bowman runs pretty strong on high tire wear tracks. Like we haven't really said much, and also Chase Elliott won the race last week at Dover. Also looked very good at Dover. What do you think about the two Hendrick cars that we didn't talk about?
I agree with what you just said about Bowman, but I think he's done a lot better on the long runs and managed his tires on the 1.5 plus tracks. He's been really inconsistent here at, Darlington. And I don't think I put him in the class. Like, he would probably be like maybe 10th, 12th, 13th if I had to rank tire wear management drivers here. So, I don't know. I don't have a lot of thoughts on Bowman. If it's a betting thing, it's going to be live. DFS, I'm going to take my chances and fade him.
What about Elliott?
Elliott, first off, Elliott's results here are not as good on paper as what he's actually raced here. He's had some bad luck, at the end of a couple races. So my biggest thing with Chase Elliott is, is I go into a backup car. And I don't know if it's the same car that Will Byron, partaked in last week, or if it's a different car that they're bringing from the shop that, maybe they had almost ready. But I'm kind of concerned about Elliott because if he doesn't show much more speed than what Will Byron did last week, I think he has a good chance of, getting lapped when it comes to a long run and being slow, because you do have to have speed here. And, that's the thing. You're not going to find speed overnight, at this track. So, the drivers that were good yesterday are going to be good again today. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of high hopes for Chase Elliott other than maybe a top 15.
All right. Moving over to the manufacturers, the only two bets that I have personally placed in this race have been in these. I took Kyle Larson to be the top Chevy at 2-1, and I took Chase Briscoe to be the top Ford at 4-1. Those are the only two bets. I think it was 4-1. It might have been better than 4-1. I don't know. Let me check. 5.5 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
5.5.
I mentioned Chase Briscoe earlier.
Right.
And finding a bet that I liked him at. And if you go to BetMGM, you can get him for top 4 at plus 700.
Oh, nice. I'll hit
And I think they're really BetMGM is really giving Logano and Blaney a lot of love this week,
Yeah.
whereas DK isn't giving him as much love. Logano's plus 160, Blaney's plus 275, but then Harvick's plus 550 and Briscoe's plus 700. So the bet I'll take is Harvick and Briscoe to be the top 4. Harvick at 550, Briscoe at 700. If you go to DK, the numbers are 350 and 400.
Now you're gonna break my balls, and now I'm gonna have to make a Kevin Harvick bet.
You don't like Harvick to be the top 4 this week?
I do think that he's one of those guys that is really, really good at saving tires. So I do think that he's going to run better here than most weeks. So I don't mind it. So yeah, I'm going to hit Chase Briscoe at BetMGM again at 7 to 1. But my initial bet was the 5.5 to 1 at 365. But I thought that was based on how he's been. I thought it was an auto bet. What did you think? I mean, I just don't see. That's another reason why I wasn't like quick to jump on the 5 to 1 on him, because I kind of backed myself up and took him top Chevy at 2 to 1. So I knew I would cash a ticket if he ended up winning the race. But I don't see much other than like Ross Chastain or shooting a shot on Tyler Reddick. I think those are the 3, and I think it's probably going to be Larson.
Right. I'm going to stay away from it this week. I don't know. From Top Chevy, because Top Chevy is the most competitive by far of the 3 manufacturers.
I agree.
So Toyota's kind of been priced out. All right. But listen, there's freaking 6 Toyota cars. We talked about the variance that can happen here.
Bubba Wallace bet incoming. Go ahead.
They got him priced at 6,600, man.
Let me hear it, Coop.
I mean, don't you throw just a little bit of change on that, man, and make some big money if crazy shit happens?
I mean, is he competitive? Here?
He had a mid-teens car yesterday, but I agree. I don't think of Bubba Wallace as a driver who's good at tire wear management and stuff like that, man. But I'm just looking at it from he's 66 to 1 out of a contest against 5 other drivers.
It's going to be hard to get me to bet Kevin Harvick and Bubba Wallace in one race. I'm going to be honest.
I'm not saying, but I mean, think of it. You put $20 on it, you're going to get. I'll take $1,200 off of $20. All
right, I'll put $20 on it. That's fair. I'll do that right now.
You know what I mean?
I'll put.
But I mean, and obviously, stupid shit has to happen. It's just when you see numbers like that, that's just stupid, and I just want to penalize the freaking books for being that stupid.
Yeah, it is, I guess. But man, Bubba Wallace at Darlington, oof.
But I mean, look. All right. But think of it from there's a very good chance.
Statistically, 6. He's got to beat 5 cars, right?
Right. And look at what I mean. Denny had issues last week. Truex screwed himself on the last lap. Maybe Busch has some issues. And then maybe he's just a little better than Bella Busch.
Yeah.
Kurt Busch. I don't know. But a 66 to 1, that's just a stupid number.
I hear you. We got to hit it today, and we got to hit it out of the park in DFS today. Any other? I am invested probably more than I have been in a race so far this year. Any other bets you like?
So on FanDuel, they have a group, okay, and in that group, it's Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, Kevin Harvick, and Tyler Reddick.
Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, Kevin Harvick, and Tyler Reddick. All right, so you want to take Kevin Harvick and Tyler Reddick?
Possibly. But again, all right, go to DK because they have this same exact group, I believe.
I'm looking at it. Yeah.
What are the numbers?
Reddick 230, Harvick 270.
Okay. Well, FanDuel has Reddick numbers backwards.
So you want to bet them both at 270, one at each book?
They have Reddick at 320.
Oh, backwards. Oh, okay. So, and what do they have Harvick?
270.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I also don't mind Group A.
I don't know if I want to take Harvick.
Oh, you want to just shoot your shot with Reddick?
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I like him to win the race. I think him and Chastain and maybe Briscoe and Jones are the four cars outside of the normal people this week that could win the race. But what do you think about Group A? Kyle Larson and Denny. I would take Kyle Larson and Denny at this track heads up against Marty and Chase Elliott.
Yeah. But I'm not going to get into that. So, but yeah. The only other prop bet that I like was on MGM.
Wow.
And that was the winner of the race, cars number 8.5 or less. So that gives you, all right, it gives you Ross Chastain, all right, who's number 1. It gives you the number 2 car in Austin Cindric.
Right.
So. It gives you Austin Dillon. So.
Gives you Harvick. Gives you
Harvick. It gives you Larson, and it gives you Reddick.
Right.
It also gives you Corey LaJoie, but you're not betting it for Corey LaJoie.
What are the odds?
But I mean, plus 220.
So realistically, the cars that can beat you are all the Gibbs cars, depending on how Blaney and Logano look. All the Gibbs cars. I mean, all the Hendrick cars besides Larson. I don't know if I like that bet, Coop. I don't think that's hot.
But think of it, it's kind of the opposite of what you just talked about. All right? You're getting you took basically Toyota to win plus 220, which is basically get Truex.
Right, but those three cars are they coming off of last week. I think is way better value than the cars that we just named.
So you would take. All right, let's play this. Let's play a little game today. We'll take average finishing position.
Okay.
You take the 3 Gibbs cars, and I'll take Chastain, Reddick, and Larson.
Well, I mean, I literally opened the show with I think Ross Chastain and Tyler Reddick could possibly be worth winning.
But look, you just said you didn't like it.
It's close. All right, maybe it's a little closer than I thought. Maybe it's close. Okay. It's close. I don't know. I do think that there are a lot of cars that can beat both those bets, though.
Yeah. I agree.
You could treat it as a hedge. You could also treat it like, you know what? I got at least if Larson, Reddick, and Chastain win this race today, I'm covered. And then I could start firing on what I like. You could use you basically could do the exact same thing like you could do with the Gibbs cars. And I think all 3 of those cars can win the race. I last night I was texting Gavin at 3 a.m. Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, don't sleep on tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But other than that, anything else?
Yeah, you have any interest in stage 1 props?
Well, how many times do you think they go down pit road in stage 1? First of all, are you going to blindside me with weather again?
The weather's pretty good from what I understand.
All right. Is that your rate?
But I mean, they could have a competition caution. I haven't heard anything yet, but I mean, it could have rained last night, in Darlington, which.
Is it 100, 200, or like what is it?
No, it's like 90, 95, 107, something like that. I don't know.
90, 95, 107. All
something
right.
like that.
All right.
Don't quote me on them numbers.
How many times do you think? How many sets of tires do they have for this race?
A bunch, 12, 13.
How many times do you think they? I think they could potentially go down pit road 3 or 4 times in the first stage, bro.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, what if we see like tires blow in and we see like madness? You don't. I mean, it. You know, like you think about the amount of like two or three.
If they go down pit road 3 or 4 times the first stage, they're not going to have any tires at the end of the race.
Yeah, well, they don't. No, but listen, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily. Yeah, I guess.
I would say obviously twice. 1 is definite, maybe and I would say 2 tops. You know, if they go down 3 times in the first stage, there's probably some tire issues that you had just mentioned.
Right. All right. Which is a possibility. But so looking at that makes any in the top 10 eat live.
Well, I think it makes more than that. My concern, all right, so let's say, you know, they have a caution on lap 35. They all come down. All right. It's 90 laps. All right. Let's say they have another caution at, let's say, lap 75. Everybody coming down, or you think some are going to wait? Or even, let's say, you know, there's my biggest concern is that there's a caution, let's say, with 5 to 15 laps left in the stage.
Right. And people
because
want
then
they want to have already pitted to start the second stage and up front.
Right. But I mean, you know, if the cars stay out, they're not going to win because the cars from behind them are going to pass them, depending upon how many laps are left in the stage and things like that.
But if you look at the top 10, right, after that, I think it's like Denny Hamlin. That's it. 22nd probably that can make a run, or Briscoe at 13. So I really think it's going to be concentrated on that top 10. Larson, looking at the stage props, we got to go in like 5 minutes, but like looking at them, he's what, 4-1? Actually, yeah, 4-1 to win stage 1. I mean, he could win it, but he could easily not win it. Easily win it today. Like, what are the prices on Marty, Kyle, Chastain?
Like I can get Marty at $550, Kyle at $550, Chastain 1,000. But like again, like you're just blowing shots. You never know. Like
you don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
Because I think it's tougher this week, and I think if I'm going to take a shot, I'm just going to eat the chalk and play Larson. And hope. Like, I don't want to get involved with, like, betting 2 to 3 drivers to win stage 1 this week.
I mean, you could shoot your shot with Larson. I might just avoid it altogether this week.
Right. And then I scrolled down this week, and I got stage 2.
Here we go.
Like, Denny Hamlin's plus 1,000.
I think that's interesting because he's starting at the back, right?
Yeah, I mean, but Denny Hamlin could be in the top 10 by the end of stage 1, you know, depending upon how pits play out and, you know, things of that nature. I'm not worried about that. I just think, you know, 10-1, that's a pretty good shot.
I guess, but that is a complete, like, throwing a dart.
So, but who would you rather bet to win stage 2? Kyle Larson at 4, Kyle Busch at 650, Truex at 650, Chastain at 1,000, or Denny Hamlin at 1,000.
What's Reddick?
14.
I don't mind that number. But I mean, yeah, I guess I would take the shots on. I would take a shot on the big money because you're throwing a total dart. Like
Right.
So yeah. But I don't mind that number on Reddick.
Like I just don't want to get too involved in the stages this week.
I'm not betting it. I just decided. I'll be honest. I'm not even taking a shot. I want maximum profit this week. I'm not even fucking around with the first stage.
Hey, do you think Denny Hamlin against Chase Elliott? Who do you think wins that head-to-head?
Denny.
Ross Chastain against Logano.
Ross Chastain.
Briscoe against Bell.
Briscoe.
Eric Jones against Buescher.
Jones.
You parlay all four of them together, you get plus 1390.
I think my worry would be
would be just getting all four of them to pay out.
I think my worry would be like if Gibbs is good, it's going to make Chris Bell good, and that worries me a little bit. But I don't mind that at 13-1 because I think that I like those sides in those matchups. If you want to take a flyer lottery ticket at 13-1, I don't mind that.
Do you like it better than taking a lottery ticket on Bubba Wallace?
Yeah, yes.
I agree. I think there's more chance that this hits than Bubba Wallace wins top Toyota.
Yes. I like it. Yeah, last night we almost hit one. We went 4 out of 5 on the live show.
Right.
We could throw a little change on that and sweat that out.
I mean, they all look good on paper and all this and all that, but I mean, it's racing. So
right, 100%.
Right.
All right. Before we go, last question. In terms of lineups, dominators, right? How many do you want in your lineup today?
I mean, I think you can go anywhere from 1 to 3. I think you can play Kyle Larson as a solo dominator, and then I think you can play a bunch of different drivers as 2 dominators, and then like if you play that cars are more equal, or like say like those drivers who we talked about with tire management are all at the top, let's say 6 or 7, and they're all going to be coming down pit road, a bunch. Then it's going to become a battle of the pit road teams. And, perhaps 3 of them, end up because of how pit road, plays out. So I think it could be anywhere from 1 to 3.
All right. We'll continue this conversation on the DFS side. All right, boys, JJ, Joey, and Holden are up next on this channel for the MLB show. And then at 1 o'clock on the DFS side, Coop and I will be back talking NASCAR with Holden. All right. So hope your action runs pure this weekend, and we will see you in a bit. Later.